to the Jest Show. Today we will discuss A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. A Tale of Two Cities is a story that revolves around London and France, intertwining a revolution, love affairs, and conspiracies. We have invited no other than Lucy Darnay and Charles Darnay to answer some of your deepest questions. Welcome, thank you guys for coming.
It's our pleasure, we're thrilled to be here.
I'll start us off. Charles, describe your time in prison.
My cell was small, smaller than most cells at the force. It was dark, damp, and musty. Yet I never really felt alone, even when I was the only one in my presence. It seemed as if someone was always there in spirit or down at the corner. All I could ever think about was Dr. Manette and how he spent his time in the Bastille. There comes a point in time where you cannot continue to ponder ideas. You have to get up and fulfill that emptiness.
How did you react when the judge sentenced your husband to death?
Oh dear, I fainted twice. I just couldn't believe that the love of my life was going to die all because of his last name, or should I say his previous last name. I continued to ponder the question of why they wanted to kill someone so innocent and would do absolutely nothing to hurt them. I then quickly realized that Sodom wasn't going to do anything or change the fate of my husband, so I pulled it together. After all, this was the last time my husband was going to see me, and I didn't want him to see me with tears rolling down my cheek.
My darling, you know I would remember you as a pretty little doll you are.
Well, aren't you two just the definition of adorable? Tell me, how would you compare your relationship with Carton to your relationship with Charles?
I love both dearly. Charles, of course, is my husband. He's my guide to everything, and I don't know what I'd do without him. Carton, on the other hand, is someone very close to my heart, and he's done things that I will never be able to repay him for.
That must be very emotionally hard to grasp. Would you mind elaborating on the love triangle between you, Charles, and Mr. Schreiber?
Oh, my admirers. Each of them have a special place in my heart, but specifically Charles and Sydney. Both Mr. Darnay and Mr. Sydney confess their love in different ways. Charles, dear, he confessed his love for me through my father. And Sydney, in fact, made me feel almost guilty by stating that I would be his purpose for beginning his life again.
Very insightful. Perhaps we shall give Lucy a break and ask Charles some questions. Do you have, perhaps, almost a hatred for Madame Defarge after what she put you?
I don't personally know Madame Defarge. The only reason behind her vengefulness towards me is because of my title, my last name that I used to have. She victimized me, therefore killing an innocent man. I can never forgive her for that. My actions were unaffected by her actions to continue with me in mind.
I can see how you would feel that way. Now that you brought up Sydney's self-sacrifice, looking back, could you propose another plan to save not only yourself, but Sydney as well?
Well, come to think of it, Sydney is a very wise man whose plan took careful craft. I'm very thankful that he developed such a strategy. As for I am mentally weak and could not have done the same. Sydney is in my thoughts, and I can never thank him enough for what he did.
So I'm assuming that both of you think Sydney's sacrifice for the sake of your family was necessary.
I don't know if necessary is the right word. Much obliged by the describes my feelings toward his previous actions. I would be so lost without my husband. He's my guide for my life.
I agree with Lucy. His deed was much obliged.
What Sydney did was very heroic and selfless indeed. Perhaps would you ever, Charles, die for the better of Lucy and little Lucy?
You know, that's a hard question. If I was to die, I wouldn't be able to protect the ones that I love in my life. I wouldn't be able to undergo that self-sacrifice and fear that my family would be in danger.
For a change of subjects, Lucy, classify the relationship between you and Madame Defarge.
I've noticed that every time I'm around her, she always has her nose in her knitting. Almost as if she's like silently observing me all the time. Then all of a sudden she's made some choice comments that have put tension between our relationship. I don't understand why she doesn't like me. I'm only kidding, Charles. The rest is beyond me.
Do you read this situation going to be any better after talking behind my back?
It seems you have a visitor. Welcome, Madame Defarge. We are so honored to have you.
I figured maybe I should be a part of the conversation this time rather than forced to hide on the table like always.
Oh, so many wonderful questions I have for you. All right, in order to get us on the same page, what motivation is there for your violence?
All those precious Everminds, geez, I can't even stand to say the name. They caused nothing but harm to my family and have blinded me from day one. For Pete's sake, they killed my brother and sister.
Why, yes, unfortunately they did.
That's right, unfortunately.
Lucy and Charles, after knowing her motivations, do you forgive Madame Defarge?
Of course not. After all she put me through, I didn't kill her brother, I didn't kill her sister. I had absolutely nothing to do with it. I believe that our problems would have been resolved if she would have gone earlier. Don't you agree, Lucy?
Oh, I guess I do. I believe.
Oh, Charles, I was not expecting that from you.
Say what you want. You're not a peasant. You'll never know what it's like to be bossed around by the nobility.
All right, let's calm down now. No need to be restless. Now, all of you, do you think that revenge is justified?
I don't believe anything so
Revenge is more like the only way of showing the upper class that we aren't surrendering. We will not back down until we are all equal. The revolutionaries are assigning hope for all people in France. Revenge is hope.
This brings a lot of insight to the situation. Madame Defarge, tell me, how would you compare your friend the Vengeance to yourself?
I think the word that best describes our relationship would be doubles. Each of us as individuals have the same intentions, doubling our strength and power. She is the eye at the back of my head and I am for hers. We always look out for each other and we always are close, some way, somehow.
It seems that you two are very close. As we near the end of our discussion, can you all explain examples of foreshadowing your character portrays?
During the trial, I realized my resemblance was similar to Sydney's, which allowed him to take my place at the guillotine in France many years later.
Back in England, I had 3 sets of footsteps approach me, each with a wish to become my husband. Later on, 2 of the people who fulfilled those footsteps came to my rescue when my family and I were having troubles in France. At that time, Charles and Sydney urged upon me to help me when I didn't need it. Later on, I would soon realize that their footsteps would carry me back to England.
Well, for me, how the wine shop shows how I was so bloodthirsty for the revolution to come.
I do believe without the tremendous amount of foreshadowing in the text, the storyline would not have been as detailed. Unfortunately, we are running out of time on the Just Show today. Lucy, Charles, and Madame Defarge, it was a pleasure to have you as guests. I look forward to speaking with you again shortly. See you all next week.
Thank you.
Oh, Charles, I was not expecting that from you.
What you want? You're not a peasant, and you'll never know what it's like to be bossed around by nobility.
Alright, let's calm down. I
don't believe anything so horrendous could happen.
Are you kidding me? Obviously, you don't know what it feels like.
During the trial, I realized I had sorry. I want myself. During the